Hello, Andrew Wasson here from CreativeGuitarStudio.com. Thanks for joining me for this video, and I got a lot of good positive feedback from last week's video, so I thought, hey, let's do it again. Let's make this a regular thing, and I have a chance to just talk with you about some of the elements of running a business, being a musician, putting up YouTube videos. I plan to just cover a whole bunch of different topics here with you guys. First thing I want to do though is I just want to mention what this week's videos were that I had posted on my main Creative Guitar Studio YouTube channel. And I had a video go up about the 4 scales that'll really make you into a good musician. And the scales were natural minor, harmonic minor, Dorian mode, and Mixolydian mode. I cover them all with shapes and melodic exercises. And on the Patreon, there's also a download of 4 different examples in jam loops for you, and all the music theory behind how you can use them to start creating your own jams and doing your own soloing. So it's a really good lesson plan. There was another one that I did about the 10 reasons why the group and the number 3 in music is really predominant. And I covered a whole bunch of different concepts around how I came to those conclusions, and it's really quite something. The number 3 is like I called it, a magical number in the world of music. So it's a pretty cool video on the channel. Definitely want to check that one out. It's short. It's only about 9 or 10 minutes long, I think. And then the other video that I put up that I really enjoyed doing, and I think I'm going to carry on with this type of format more. Let me tell you what the video is. First of all, it was about this timeless 70s hit and how it's probably the easiest song in the world to play. Very simple tune. The tune itself in the video is A Horse with No Name by America. And the thing about it is it's a very simplistic song, but there's a lot that you can get out of that tune. And I had a really good success with that video when I posted it. And also I've had a lot of people send in messages to me off the studio's website and say, hey, you know what, this format is excellent. I really like learning about songs and then how I can take the format of that song and build harmonies off of it and create melodies of my own and even use it to create guitar solos and all that jazz. So I think I'm going to take this as a real light bulb moment and go forward with this a little bit more with you guys, because to me it was a very interesting video to make. I learned a lot myself around it, and then hey, you can watch it yourself too and realize how much good there is coming out of that lesson plan. And it's just about taking a song. I might even dig into the bands and the history of the band a little bit more and let you guys really understand what happened, along, with whatever history I can dig up, and just kind of help you to get into a different mindset of how you can explore music in that type of way. So go check that video out. It's got a really good part 2 lesson plan around it too, where you can go check that out on my Patreon. And I think in the coming weeks and even months ahead, I think I'm going to take that as a little bit more of a cue for a new direction to possibly take with some of the lessons that I'm putting up on the Creative Guitar Studio YouTube channel. So anyway, guys, let's move on to what I had as the topic here for this video. And it's really like around this concept of being a musician and how resilience is really important. And I chose to go with the topic of resilience because as a musician, you have to learn how to withstand ideas and situations that come up with you when you're playing with other people. You have to learn how to recover quickly from all the difficulties, both in the music business world and then working as a musician and all the different people you have to encounter. There's a toughness to yourself that you have to develop, a thick skin, especially if you decide ever to make YouTube videos. You will get tons of people commenting and sending you messages that are, well, they're just ridiculous. Like some of the stuff that people will write you and tell you to do. And, I didn't like that video you put up. I want you to take it down and remove it from the internet because I didn't agree with what you said at the 7.5 minute mark and blah, blah, blah. It's crazy. Like, if people have an opinion, that's fine. But I mean, to go forward and tell someone to remove work that they put up online, it's crazy. People do that. Also, the aspect of resilience also takes into consideration the willingness to change too, because sometimes, especially when you're working in a band and you have a certain style or maybe a certain set list that you're working on, and maybe that set list just doesn't cut it anymore because the styles in the city that you're working within have kind of changed in the club scene. They maybe don't want top 40 anymore. Most of the clubs are maybe going to ask you for country and western. So you have to have that willingness to change what you're playing and the enjoyment that you get out of it. Most of us do this for the sheer pleasure of playing music. So normally that compromise in those situations is pretty easy to make. But for some people, they just don't have the flexibility and resilience to change up and move on. And these are really important things that you need to be able to do. I think, also, when you look at especially running music as a music business oriented thing, there's outcomes that you get that are successful, and then there's outcomes that you can do for sometimes quite a while, especially with online work that you do, or maybe the supplying of different music for things. I've actually given up a lot of time in my month, to work on some podcast music that I was doing for someone. And you just have to understand what other people will want and adapt to what it is that they're asking for. And that's a big part of working as a musician with other people, is you have to have that experience where you're agile in what something is being offered up to you to do. So you have to have sort of a mental and emotional and even a behavioral flexibility to be able to go through and adjust to these different situations that you're going to be asked for in whether it's a band or whether you're writing podcast music or whether you're making YouTube videos or whatever it is that you're doing. You have to be flexible, you have to be resilient as well, and you have to have your psychology together on how everything is working with those people too. There's a perspective you have to have that keeps you balanced between like all the emotional sides of things and the ability to deal with some adversity that may come your way, or difficulties, arguments you may have with other people and fallings out that you may have with people. And you have to kind of move on from a lot of those situations in a constructive way and adapt and become more, learn from it and become stronger and sometimes they can be, very bothersome. I've even talked to different musicians where they've had pretty traumatic experiences with situations where they finished a gig. I mean, I had a situation where I finished a gig one time and went out to the back parking lot behind the building where, we were unloading and loading our gear. And some people tried to rob us. I was with a drummer at the time who was a pretty tough guy. And we just sort of looked at these people and said, get lost. You don't want to mess around here tonight. And they left. I don't know what they had planned or what they had thought of, but I often think to myself, what if we weren't the type of personalities that we are, and those people would have maybe tried to take advantage of us or steal our wallets, or who knows? I don't know whether they had a knife or anything. You never know in these situations, and so you have to be able to move on from these traumatic situations. I'll tell you a quick story. One time when I was, I'm trying to think how old I was. Probably I was just like 16 years old. I was working a food delivery job. I was working with a friend of mine, from high school, and we had wrapped up, and it was New Year's Eve, and we were just taking the garbage out. That was one of our last jobs of the evening at the restaurant. Pull the delivery car around to the back, load up the garbage in it, and then we had planned to go around to the front where there was a big garbage bin, and we were going to dump it, and then we were going to go home. And so the whole thing, though, is it was New Year's Eve, and it was we weren't going to go home. We were going to go out partying, basically. But the thing is when we stopped to get the garbage, a carload of other guys who were on some kind of crazy tear pulled up behind us, and they jumped out of their vehicle with baseball bats, and they had some kind of an intention that they were going to basically take us out, probably very badly physically harm us, to say the least. So we jumped in our delivery car, and we had basically a car chase through a quarter of the entire city. We were blasting through stop signs and going across main intersections, and I was the one driving in this car chase. We lost them one time, and they took out a boulevard, and for some reason we slowed down because there was traffic at another street. They caught up with us. And we had this car chase right through the city, and halfway through it, I was with my coworker, my buddy at the time, and we were like, hey, let's try to make it to the police station. I'm sure these guys aren't going to want to follow us to the police station. So we almost made it to the police station. It was so close, and unfortunately, I couldn't make this turn because the streets were wet, they were icy, and I wiped out I just T-boned the car right into a telephone pole. And then, you know, we were like a block from the police station. So we jumped out of the car and ran to the police station. When we got in the police station and we were huffing and puffing from running a block at, you know, full steam ahead, the police officers were in there. They're looking at us like, what is this? You know, what went on with you? Luckily, my, you know, coworker there, my buddy, he got a partial plate, and we knew the make and, you know, the model type of the car. We had the color of the car and everything. Turned out the car was stolen. There was a bunch of, you know, punks in it that just wanted to cause trouble, and they did a pretty good job of messing with us that night. But, you know, you could think the next day of going and, you know, working again, and you know, you're kind of freaked out. It's not an everyday occurrence to have something like that happen to you. And, you know, I had to move on from it. It was a really crazy, adverse situation. It was a nuts experience. And, you know, I tried to find the positive side of it. And the one positive side for me that was really the biggest positive part is I kept thinking afterwards, blasting across those different streets and going through all those stop signs, I kept thinking, what if I would have hit a car and maybe there was like a mom and a dad in there with like a little kid, and what if, you know, what if the kid died, or what, you know, all these things start going through your mind. And I'm just glad nothing like that happened. You know, in every situation where I had to like blow through a red light or blow through a stop sign, there was just luckily no cars at all, and everything was okay in that respect. But, you know, you have to take these situations of, and I got a ton of stories like this, but, you know, the thing is, there's all these things that happen to you, you know, both, you know, working and living in life, being a musician, running businesses, that you'll have a goal of whatever that is, and you do not want to change your goal. You know, my goal that night was to get to the police station. My goal in business is to be able to make enough money to support my family and the people that work for me, my employees, and to balance everything in my life so that I don't get overwhelmed. And you know what I mean? And you know, you have to sometimes change that path and get onto a new path that is better for your goals and works in a more congruent way. But the main thing is, you want to be able to achieve those goals, have success with whatever it is that you're doing, and at the same time be resilient enough for all the adversity that comes your way that you can navigate around it and keep on your path. So keep, you know, these words as words of wisdom. You know, things will happen along the way that are going to really suck, and you got to somehow just navigate around that and just say, to hell with it. Just, I'm moving forward on this, and I'm going to stick to my path. I'm going to stick to my goal, and that's the most important thing, period. You know, if you keep a mindset like that, and you keep a really strong frame of mind, there's pretty much almost nothing that you can't do. One thing that I thought was really cool, and I'll try and find the clip and include it in this video, but I had seen an older interview with Chuck Norris, and he had said in the interview that he said, I don't worry. I never worry about anything, because worrying just wastes a lot of energy, and normally what happens is things will always work out. So I'm going to try and find that clip and add it to this this video for you to see as well. If I can't find it or I can't add it for some reason, I will include it as a link somewhere below. But I'm sure if you look up, you know, Chuck Norris saying, "Don't worry about anything," you'll find it. It's a really kind of cool, and you know, it's like you don't really need to get upset and worry about stuff. Normally it will work out, but you do have to stay resilient on your path, because you know, you have goals, you want to achieve them. Be resilient enough to never change that path and basically make it to those goals. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot for joining me on this video, and I will catch up with you guys next time on another one of these. Until then, keep jamming, keep practicing, keep pursuing your dreams on music and on guitar, and I will catch up with you next time. Bye for now.